Pecha Kucha 78, Liu Bei painting, and Smiley German 2. So this week was a pretty strong Monday and Tuesday, and then it kind of fizzled out as the week went on, ending with me purchasing Battle Brothers. So that was kind of the end of that, and that's definitely bleeding over into next week. Don't you worry about that. So I started the week looking at a few YouTube videos talking about like clean line weight and stuff like that. So this one guy, DM Combo, was talking about using the curve tool to get pretty nice looking outlines. But while he was talking about it, he also showed other methods, including dark pencil brush, which we'll come back to later. And this guy is kind of a master of using the G pen for single line smooth curves. But the thing that he did that was I thought was just awesome is like he put a window inside his work window so he could zoom in but still get a sense of the overall image. So I kind of just went back into one of my Turtles things and did the same thing, and it's great. So what tends to happen when you're inking super close, and I'm doing this with the G pen, is you completely lose perspective. So it looks super good close up, you zoom out and it's like, that's not as cool as I thought it was. But this kind of mitigates that. So I messed around with a lot of different brushes, just because that's what I do when I'm trying to ink. So this is the chalk brush that I love so much, and this is a second cleaner line work. And I think, you know what, honestly, this is probably good enough for a working brush. And I've said this before, because once you put color or shade on top, that's this on the top left. Well, I know it isn't. That's on the top right. That's good enough. G pen on the bottom right looks pretty good, but it takes way too long to get anything done. So it's really about how long I want a project to take. Turnip pen bottom left is a good middle ground, but it's not quite as refined. So yeah, I did a kind of picture of Liu Bei in a portfolio piece years and years ago. So I've kind of come back to it to think, can I use Manga Studios stuff to try and actually replicate the painting as close as possible. So I did another basic kind of sketch under drawing with the dark pencil tool, which I've rediscovered. And it seems to be quite good for actually doing things like eyebrows, some of the hairline, beards, if you're intending to like paint over it. I mean, we'll see how this goes. And yeah, this was the point where I realized if I'm going to kind of build this painting up from scratch, maybe I should record it, because this could be kind of interesting. So this is the point where I actually started recording, and I've kind of done half of the face, which is going to be the most interesting thing. I will have to come back though, because I kind of screwed up the eyes. So there's a lot of Photoshop trickery in this picture, I'm pretty sure. The collar, I mean, I think he could have painted it legit or maybe not, so I was just thinking, let me just turn it into a pattern, apply it, separate layer, and then go over it again with paint. So this is kind of where I was, maybe like, I don't know, an hour and a half in. Working on Liu Bei's like robes is just exhausting, because it's an awful lot of effort that's not particularly interesting to watch or do, but it's probably the most important thing to learn, because this is the realism of the image. Faces are great, but they make up almost none of that page. So that's a slow burning project. So a new old Smiley show I'm updating is the follow up to the first Smiley German one, which I haven't released because I'm going to release them as a batch and then use them to kind of cover deadline issues and stuff. So this is right after like Ken and Vegeta have had a fight. Now we ask, who is Ash, Crimson's favorite German? He drops Mickey Mouse because Lederhosen, because Smiley Show. And this is the level of like the basic art. It's literally, it's on the back of something, I can tell. Just a 6 grid thing. The line work is super quick. This took like 5 minutes. I was on the bus, and then I kind of made a Family Guy joke and thought, I don't want to do this anymore. This is typical of old Smiley shows. It tends to be a joke into another joke, and then it just stops. Probably because I had to get off the bus or something, right? So this is the first new page of the old Smiley Show, which will be, so I've got my text and all that, and I've done my paneling, which I'm not especially fond of. I've got to figure that out for the future, but that'll be something I improve as I go forward. And I'll redraw the chalk brush lines, but this is just a sense of, what do I want in there? I think Ash is looking pretty good for the effort I put in, which wasn't a particularly large amount. And I've, kind of concluded this one in a way that the original Smiley Show doesn't have, so Akuma has shown up, and his favorite German is a guy who's actually German, Friedrich Nietzsche, however you say it. And I was on Wikipedia so Akuma could say something clever, and he did, and he said something that is super Akuma as well. So yeah, I'm happy because I did some research, and then Akuma punches the planet and it explodes because, well, yeah, why not? Got to end the Smiley Show somehow. Don't want it to turn into a thing or anything. So yeah, I will do a second pencil layer for those, and I might color the Smiley Show because it's not really that big a deal. But something I found on YouTube that I didn't expect to see. Second from the bottom, Rick Mail, bigger than Hitler, better than Christ. He's advertising Nintendo games, and it's the early 90s, and I didn't know this happened, but it so totally did. Sometimes you just find stuff on YouTube that makes your head explode, like that Tim and Eric joke. The universe. Yeah, so I'm glad I took a screenshot of that at the time, because I would never have taken my own word for it. I miss Rick Mail. Right, so what should I do next week? Smiley Show, of course, but the more I say that, the less inclined I am to do it. That's just how I am. I've got something else planned. I don't want to tip my hat. It's not a big deal. It's gonna happen. If I forget this week, because I forgot this week. If I forget next week, I'll just do it the week after. Battle Brothers, that's the thing. This is one of the hardest games I've ever played. It's very intriguing. It's not for everyone. I'm not sure if it's for anyone, but it was on Steam sale. I got it for a tenner, and it's already proven its value to be greater than that, just from the artwork. And the Battle Brothers developers have a YouTube channel, and I'll probably talk about some of the speed paintings I found on there, because they're very instructive in showing how a professional artist on a professional project works through a Photoshop painting. So if I'm not going to talk about those specifically, I'll definitely try and absorb what the guy did and try and work it into the Liu Bei painting, I think. Right, so that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 78, and I'll see you next time.